Welcome back to Hidden Wisdom Academy Biology. Today, we're starting an exciting topic, secondary growth in dicot root and stem. You already know primary growth helps plants grow taller. But how do trees become thicker and form wood? That's because of secondary growth, done by special tissues called cambium and court cambium. By the end of this episode, you'll know how dicot stems and roots grow in thickness and how this helps in support and transport. Also, we're close to our 100th episode. Check out the poll on our YouTube community tab and vote for what special you'd like. Let's begin with the basics. In dicot stems, secondary growth starts when the cambium between vascular bundles becomes active. First, the interfascicular cambium inside each bundle begins to work. Soon, the parenchyma cells between bundles, in the medullary rays, turn into interfascicular cambium. These two cambiums join to form a complete cambium ring. This ring keeps dividing, forming secondary xylem inside and secondary phloem outside, making the stem thicker and stronger. Once the cambium ring is formed, it drives secondary growth. It divides parallel to the stem surface, producing new cells on both sides. On the inside, it forms secondary xylem, or wood. On the outside, it forms secondary phloem, or bast. More xylem is produced than phloem, so the stem thickens, and old phloem gets pushed outward and crushed. This continuous addition of tissues increases stem girth, and in woody plants, it forms the annual rings that show each growing season. As the cambium makes new xylem each year, its activity changes with the seasons. In spring or the rainy season, the cambium is very active and forms large, thin-walled vessels called spring wood or early wood. In autumn or the dry season, cambium activity slows down, producing small, thick-walled vessels called autumn wood or late wood. The pattern of early and late wood forms visible rings in the stem, called annual rings. These rings can show the tree's age and even past climate conditions. So, secondary growth not only makes the stem thicker but also records seasonal changes in woody plants. In dicot roots, secondary growth begins with a cambium ring that originates from the pericycle, near the primary xylem. At first, the cambium is in separate segments between xylem and phloem, but soon it forms a continuous ring. This active cambium produces secondary xylem towards the center and secondary phloem towards the outside, just like in stems. The key difference is that in stems, cambium comes from intra- and interfascicular regions, while in roots, it comes mainly from the pericycle. So, the process is similar, but the cambium's origin is different in roots and stems. Once the cambium in dicot roots is active, it starts producing secondary tissues, just like in stems. Inward, secondary xylem forms toward the center outward, secondary phloem forms toward the outside. In roots, xylem forms faster than phloem, so thickening mainly happens on the xylem side. The primary phloem gets crushed, and secondary tissues form concentric rings. This cambium activity helps roots grow thicker, giving better support and improving water and nutrient transport. Let's compare secondary growth in dicot stems and roots. In stems, cambium comes from intra- and interfascicular regions. In roots, cambium originates from the pericycle. Both produce secondary xylem inside and secondary phloem outside, but in roots, xylem forms faster, giving a thick xylem core. Primary phloem gets crushed in both. Roots usually don't show clear annual rings, unlike woody stems. Here's your challenge question for today. Assertion: a secondary growth in dicot stems shows annual rings, but dicot roots usually do not. Reason: our cambium in stems originates from interfascicular and interfascicular regions and shows seasonal activity, whereas cambium in roots originates from pericycle with less seasonal variation. Is it option A? Both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. Is it option B? Both A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. Is it option C? A is true, but R is false. Or is it option D? A is false, but R is true. Comment your answers or send them to us on WhatsApp or Instagram. That's a wrap on secondary growth in dicot stems and roots. Now you know how stems and roots get thicker, the role of cambium, how secondary xylem and phloem form, and why annual rings appear in woody stems. In the next episode, we'll explore integrated application in plant anatomy, connecting primary growth, secondary growth, crans anatomy, and dicot versus monocot differences. Don't miss our daily NET MCQs and PYQ series for quick revision. See you in the next episode.